Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. This state's successor is Massimo. He came across a girl on a beach one day. When I saw him I was convinced of his beauty by the way he enjoys spending time with women, but there's something special about this young lady. Seeing him he was so insane that he believed that if this girl entered his life the void he was experiencing would be filled. However, she has no idea who the girl is, where she lives, or how she got here. When he was hugging his father he was doing all of these things. One of the reasons he has a new contract is because his opponents shot his father from behind and Massimo lost his father. He has become an orphan because he has not even learned the nuances of running his business. Now he has to figure out how he'll run his company, how to remove your father's memories from your mind. He finished his father's body. When he was done with it, he couldn't stop thinking about that girl after that. In her mind's eye the girl's face kept rotating. He has no idea how he will track her down, but he will not give up. He's looking for a place to live. He has dispatched his men to find him. In the midst of it all 5 years have passed, and Massimo has seized control of my empire. Gradually he has learned his trade and how to run his empire by defending himself against his adversaries. Nonetheless, the girl's heart and mind are unable to forget. She looks around for him, but despite numerous attempts he is unable to locate her. On the other hand, Laura was the name of the girl who was seen on the beach. She shares a home with her parents. Martin is her true love. This couple's relationship isn't going so well. Martin is someone she adores. Martin, on the other hand, is nothing more than a prop for the relationship. Olga is a friend of his. She tells everyone everything. Olga, Martin and it were at a party together. Then she gets into a fight with Martin over something. This became a part of their daily routine for both of them. Laura stated, "I need a break," and then she left the party and began walking down the deserted road. Laura had arrived in the meantime. Laura's address and the time she goes to which club were both known to her. As a result, he waited outside the club. She recognized him as soon as she saw him. He was kidnapped and brought to his island unconscious. When he awoke the next morning, Laura was sitting in front of him. He inquired, "Who are you and how did you imprison me in such a manner?" He said, "I'll answer every question you have, but first get some breakfast." All of this was refuted by Laura. She wants to get out of here. He tried several times but was unsuccessful, and it just so happened that Laura caught him and told the entire story. He stated that he last saw him 5 years ago and has been looking for him ever since. His face refuses to leave his heart and mind. He makes countless attempts to call him, but he is unable to do so. He felt he was the only person who could heal her wounds after his father died. He now claims that he must obtain it. People said things like, "I have an all boyfriend and I can't leave him." Laura stated that you should not be concerned because everything has been planned. "What exactly do you mean?" Laura inquired. "My men have left a letter at her house. According to the innocents, it's written in your name and says you're leaving it because you don't need it anymore. I am not a mind blower whom you imprison and keep in your cage," Laura said, becoming even more enraged. "No matter what, I'll never be yours." "Don't worry," Laura said, "I won't even touch you unless you give me permission. I'll give you a year. I am confident that you will fall in love with me in days, and if you do not, I will set you free. You are free to stay here indefinitely. I will never accept you," Laura declared. Laura is shrieking a lot right now. She is frantically attempting to flee, but he is failing in every attempt he makes. Actually, the Massimos have assigned Dominic to this task. He keeps a close eye on Laura at all times. Laura occasionally believes she can deceive the masses, but she is unable to do so. Laura had fooled her several times by acclimating to the masses and thinking she would flee. However, his attempt was also unsuccessful. Massimo is no exception. He also seduces her on occasion. Says as he walks away, "I'm not going to touch you unless you accept me." He drags her out of the house and forces her to go shopping. The merchandise is constantly changing. Purchases a large gift for him, turns on the flight mode for him, takes place on various islands. Laura's heart does not melt for the masses despite all of this. Laura once wore such clothing to a party, and the attention of all the men was drawn to her. There was a human here who bongs against the gang of a gangster family in all of these. As soon as he saw Laura he became enamored with her. I dragged him over to his side and tried to compel him to marry her. The Masamune arrived here in this manner. He brutally murdered the man before boarding his ship which was carrying Laura. Dominic told the Massimos the next morning, you should not take enmity with your opponents in this way. Similarly, you have lost your father and running this business is becoming increasingly difficult. How can you risk such a vast empire over a single girl's affair? Laura was immediately attentive to all of this and stated everything is going to waste because of me. This is entirely my fault. The Massimos attempted to calm her down, but the two got into such a heated argument that Laura fell into the ship from the water. Seeing this, Massimo jumped in to save him and brought him back to the ship as soon as he was out of the water. Massimo advised Laura not to do this again if she sensed something. I can't live without you because you are my life. Please forgive me, Laura said. Laura has gradually begun to accept Massimo and has surrendered herself to him. Massimo has finally found Laura's true love. Both of them are now living together. They frequently go for a walk together. Massimo asked her one day, would you marry me? Laura replied affirmatively. If you want, Massimo said, you can go meet your family and then return. Laura was overjoyed when she learned of this and went to meet her family. After meeting her parents, she went to see her friend Olga and told her everything. Olga was taken aback by what she heard and asked, have you gone insane? You're getting married to a thug. This is not a prison marriage. You will spend the rest of your life in prison and your life will be meaningless. Laura could only see Massimo at this point. Meanwhile, Martin arrived to greet him. Laura, on the other hand, is adamant about not meeting him. Martin told him that he had looked everywhere but couldn't find anything. I received your note informing me that you were leaving, but I continue to look for you. Laura, on the other hand, stated, I can't meet you anymore and everything between us is over. As a result, Martin had to leave suddenly. Massimo arrived at Laura's house and exclaimed angrily, where have you been for so many days? How long had I been looking for you? Massimo began to adore him at this point. Laura demonstrated that Massimo's body is riddled with scars throughout this. He inquired as to how those wounds were healing, and he informed me that I had killed the man who attempted to force you to join him. Hearing this made me cry even harder. He embraced her and the two are now planning their wedding. Laura does not want her parents to be aware of Massimo's activities. That is why prior to their marriage he mixed Massimo with his parents. His parents met Massimo, but he had no idea what Massimo was up to, and now they've returned to their island, where they'll marry. Laura has also invited her friend Olga, who is the only person who knows the truth about Laura and Massimo, to the wedding. In just a few days we'll be married. Laura tells Olga she's pregnant during this time, but she hasn't told Massimo yet. She is planning to give him this surprise as soon as possible. The two then went shopping, and it was while he was on his way to the car that Dominic learned that Massimo's opponents were planning to kill Laura because Massimo had killed his man. They now want to kill Laura and inflict a serious wound on her. Knowing this, Dominic dashed over to the running Massimo, but before he could say anything, Laura's car drove into the road tunnel and couldn't get out. This means he and his friend were both killed inside the tunnel. When Massimo receives this information, so he sat on the ground, emotional tears streaming down his face. He had also lost the love he had left. His father had already passed away. He had always imagined that he would be able to take away whatever he desired. And the film ends here. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.